In 2023, I did something that most agency owners probably avoid. I downsized my team. And it's not because we were broke, but because I actually realized I was building someone else's dream business and not mine. I had the sales team, we had the ads, had the closers. I'd built a machine, but I honestly hated showing up for it. And so in many ways, I burned it down. And this video, I want to break down why I did that. Now, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that YouTube is like my primary platform. This video is going to be different from the last handful of videos that I've been releasing. I've been really focused on trying to get better at YouTube and scripting a lot of videos. This video is not scripted. I have a few key points that I'm going to look at over here and talk through. So if you like this kind of like raw format compared to maybe some of my other videos, please let me know in the comments. That'd be super helpful. Why did I downsize my team? Let me kind of set the stage. So, my agency started in 2015. 2017 is when we launched kind of our first Done With You program, which that income stream blew out of the water, the revenue that was coming from the agency in 11 months. And we kind of turned into a full-fledged coaching, training, consulting business. 2021, we were doing really well. I think everyone was doing well in 2021. We blew up. We basically from 2021 to 2023, we were kind of stuck in this like between 1 and 3 million a year trap. A lot of people call it the swamp of success. And, through the guidance that I got from a lot of folks, mentors, all of the advice really seemed to come around like, this is where you actually have to up-level your team and become a leader and all of that stuff. And I was all in. Like our team grew. I had a media buyer, a copywriter. I had my number 2 ops person who's been with me from the beginning. We had a client success community manager. I had a copywriter, video editor. I had 3 closers, 3 setters. Anyway, the team was growing. It was over 10 people, mostly full-time, and a small team of fractional experts, coaches, which we still use. But we were in this swamp of success that everyone talks about. And it felt like it was just growing in complexity and shrinking in joy and fulfillment. And I was doing less of what I love doing, which was the creating of new training and the consulting and advising, mentoring, coaching my clients, and more managing. As we scaled up, I was in more and more meetings, more and more, employee one-on-ones. I had to do the leader thing, like help people grow and improve. And, parts of that were enjoyable, but I scaled myself out of the pieces that made it fun and worth doing. And this sort of leads to the realization part where noticed I was spending more time in these meetings and, kind of falling out of love with the business. Not motivated, not excited to come to work every single day. And obviously that was a sign that something was wrong. And I was just trying to power through it. And, when I looked at the numbers, like we were running paid ads to a video sales letter, which led to a call. And then we would, have a sale or a follow up. Like that was the funnel. And that worked like gangbusters, back in, 2015 through, really all of 2021 for the most part. And as we were trying to scale it, and again, I was simultaneously scaling myself out of the things that I loved. Every time I went to go focus on kind of re-falling back in love and getting back involved in the parts of the business that brought me joy, like creating new training, creating new curriculum, like diving deeper with clients, getting closer to clients, the engine that we built, this funnel that we were spending at peak $60K a month on ads, it was always working just well enough to justify not turning it off. And every time I'd get ready to go dive back into the things that brought me joy, that engine would break. Oh no, this thing broke over here. I got to go hop in and do some ad creative, or I got to find ways to get more calls on the sales team's calendar because most of them were commission based. And I always had to go back to tend to the machine because the machine is what took care of everybody else. And through the machine taking care of everybody else, kind of keeping everybody else fed, I was starving myself from the things that I felt gave me the most joy and the reason why I started this business in the first place. And so every growth move kind of pulled me deeper into management and operations and less of the creative side. And when I got into the agency world in the first place, I've been involved in creative agencies, like advertising agencies. And I always was like the creative that wanted to be creative. Like I was never the designer or anything like that, but my best friends were always like the real creative people. And the team was just big enough that I started to feel stuck, and it was not big enough to run without me, but I hadn't really come up with the solutions to make it work in a way where I was finding joy. So I was always solving the symptoms, not really focused on the core problems, if that makes sense. So it brought me to that decision point, which the margins, like if that whole engine didn't work as planned for 1 month, like you kind of feel the impact of that through a couple months. And my margins were tight, the stress was high, the joy was gone. And I even had a meeting with my number 2, Lisa, who's been with me from the beginning. It was about April this time. I'm like, by October, if we can't get this thing, turned around, I'm gonna make some serious decisions. I'm gonna make some serious changes. And we rolled into June, end of June, July, and I just had enough. I was like, I can't keep doing this. So I accelerated the deadline, and I let the team know, and I got rid of my media buyer, let go of my media buyer, copywriter, phased out all of the sales team. And I took over sales, and I took over my media buying. We phased back media spend, and I said, we're going to have to figure this out, and bring leads in and bring opportunities in, not spending $60K a month, not spending $30K a month. We wound down our ad spend to about like $2K a month. And we really started leaning into YouTube even more. And one of the big ahas for me was, as I had these one-on-one conversations, which are difficult conversations, and I wanted to part ways with people that I loved and that I still love, great human beings, that many of them were relieved. They thought that I should have done this earlier. And when I told them why I was making this move, they actually agreed. And they said, based on what you're saying, I think you're making the right decision. And obviously it stinks that we're parting ways, but like, good for you. And that was like the most reassuring thing in that time. So flash forward results after downsizing, while 2023 started off high pacing revenue, not a lot of profit, tight margins, losing money on some months, to 2023 ended up being the most profitable year we've ever had in business, and the most amount of money I've paid myself ever in business. And that all happened in half a year from like making this change. Like we closed out the year that way. 2024 kind of followed suit, was a really high profit year. Again, paid myself, more than I've ever paid myself before. And I reconnected with creating content, redove into working with clients more directly, took on one-on-one clients, and wove myself back into delivery in parts that gave me a lot of joy. In addition to, we started experimenting with low ticket offers. We've been in this journey now for we're about 3 months in of transitioning out of sales calls. I don't want a big sales team. I don't even want a sales team at all. I'm finding ways to get people into our programs without sales calls. And I'm being honest with you, it's been a challenge so far, but half of our sales every month are coming from little to no contact, which has been awesome. So we're on the right track, and we're acquiring new skills, like being able to drive ads to our $7 book profitably and have those people then buy our next program has been a new challenge, a fun problem to solve that makes me excited again. And I'm seeing opportunities, and I'm now seeing why a lot of people are saying that, maybe not in my lifetime, but my son's lifetime, but faster than we all believe it, that there will be a $1 billion one-person company. Now, I'm not saying that I'm trying to build a one-person business. I still have team. I love team. My team will grow from where it's at right now, most likely, but it'll probably be under 10 people, and I want it to be under 10 people. We're 4 full-time right now, and we have a few fractional people that make up one more full-time equivalent. So again, I've reconnected. We've been experimenting. 2024 was really kind of the setup for 2025. And 2025, I'm also still learning. There's still a lot of things I haven't figured out yet. And I want to share more videos on the things that I'm doing as I've been making this change, because this is the second time I've really pivoted. I pivoted from being kind of a full service agency into productized services, from productized services into kind of the high ticket coaching, consulting, training world. And now I'm adding on the skill of like low ticket digital products and mentorship and all that stuff, which has been going on really behind the scenes for a long time, but I haven't really talked about it as much. But there's something in the air, guys. I don't know if you feel it, but I'm just tired of people building a business that they don't like. And a lot of clients that come to us are not happy with the way their agency has been running, and we help them productize to focus on freedom. So that's not what this video is about. But my big lessons here on like why I downsize and the takeaways that maybe are relevant for you. Again, let me know what's been most useful in the comments. I'd love to know. I wasn't being lazy. I was just climbing the wrong mountain. If that makes sense. And I thought that revenue equaled freedom. It does not. I mean, obviously money helps facilitate freedom, but if you make a lot of revenue, if you drive a lot of revenue and you have no profit, you're still not going to have a lot of freedom. So revenue does not equal freedom. Profit leads to a lot more freedom. And team size doesn't equal success. More and more, I'm actually impressed by the people that drive high profit and high revenue with lean teams versus, it used to be a flex when someone's like, I have a team of 100. I talked to a few agency owners recently that were like, I'm doing just over $1 million and I have 15 people on my team. And I was like, the math doesn't math. Like you can't be making, taking home that much if your team is that big with that low of revenue. At least I don't see how it is possible unless all of your help is overseas. But big lessons. I wasn't being lazy. I was climbing the wrong mountain. Revenue doesn't equal freedom. Team size doesn't equal success. And the main lesson, and I think this is probably the most useful for everybody, is that back to our mountain analogy, sometimes you have to go back down the trail that you were on to get to a different trail that will actually take you to the peak, because not all trails lead to the peak of the mountain. And so sometimes you do have to take a trail that takes you down, meaning you might feel like you're going backwards, which is going to feel really hard and probably hit your ego like it hit mine. But you got to go back down the trail a little bit to get on the right trail that actually leads to the peak. So if you feel like your business is growing, but maybe you're dreading it more and more, you're not crazy. You might just be building someone else's dream. And honestly, it's never too late to build your own. Downsizing gave me kind of, in many ways, a blank slate. And honestly, I've never felt more aligned. And each and every day that I'm focused on this, I'm feeling more and more in alignment. And that's one of the most powerful things that you can have, in my opinion. So I didn't just blow it up to chill. I'm rebuilding something that's leaner, that's simpler, and way more, quote unquote, scalable, but on my terms. And in this next video, I'll walk you through exactly what I'm building, how the model, the offers, and how I'm kind of how I've been redesigning it over the last year and a half now for profit, fun, and freedom. So go check that video out.